With my investors, and with our first transaction with Nationwide Health Property, we were able to pick up 21 buildings, which was great. We then picked up a couple of small deals with them of an additional 4 or 5 in Texas, predominantly in Texas. And then our investors asked us to, when Integrated went through their bankruptcy, they had a portfolio of 14 assets in Louisiana. They asked us to take on the management of those, which we did. And we still operate those today. In 2006, where they were able to eventually sell those to Omega Healthcare Property, a Maryland-based public REIT. We grew to be like 55 properties. And not that bigger is better. We struggled with the size and geography. And so over the years, we looked at transactions. We were able to, again, when the Litchfield IHS separation was occurring, there was a building in Colorado that Litchfield owned. It was up for sale. We put a bid in, a non-contingent bid. We closed it in 2 days, and because I operated the building for 6 years. I knew the building well. So we got one building in Colorado, which we own. That was our first owned building. And so over the years, we stayed focused in Texas. Texas is a challenging state because it ranks pretty low in its Medicaid rate. It doesn't have an annual increase in Medicaid. Legislative session comes every other year, so it doesn't have the consistency of some of the other states. Louisiana, good state, good employees. I still have employees that worked for me in 1995 that still work in those buildings. Great work ethic, great culture, great environment. It's a CON state, so there's not a lot of new buildings. And with Omega, we were able to make significant improvements in some of those assets, which we have over time. And we've added a couple onesie twosies there along the way with Omega. So we grew, we got to be 55, and then we eventually got down to, we closed buildings that were in markets that were rural markets or in highly competitive markets where we couldn't be competitive. There were too many assets, or we sold them off on onesie. So we got down to recently in 2015 to be about 40 buildings. The original lease with Nationwide Health Property, which went from Nationwide Health Property to Ventas to another Capital Care lease, was up for renewal. We decided not to renew 11 of those assets. So effective on February 1st, we're down to 26 skilled nursing facilities and 1 assisted living. And the assisted living is a new acquisition that we bought. It's in between 2 of my SNFs in Louisiana. We bought that in Morgan City, Louisiana, and it's turned out to be a great synergistic property. And we took that when it was 65% occupied. Now it's 100% occupied with a waiting list. And again, because I think we were able to bring quality to that product line that they hadn't had before. So today, we're 26 facilities, 1 in Colorado, 13 in Louisiana, and 12 in Texas. Relationship is pretty much Omega Healthcare. We're a leasehold company where Omega owns 19 of those properties. Care Capital Partners owns 4, and Nexan owns 5. And so we've been able to add some new buildings along the way. We had some CONs, or we replaced buildings. We were able to buy them. So we have a pretty good mix of owned and leased assets at this point. So we really feel that our focus hasn't changed back from 2001, where quality was the main driver and financial viability. The industry has changed dramatically over the years. In 2001, the buildings were all 100% occupied with long-term care patients and small amounts of Medicare. Today, we see that mix being Medicaid is really a dwindling population for us because there's so much competition on the Medicaid side from age at home and all of those competitive service, assisted living, et cetera. And so we've seen the long-term care patients dwindle in terms of numbers, and we've seen much more growth on the Medicare rehab side of the business. And that's where our focus is. So we would consider ourselves to be a quality post-acute care provider where we do short-term rehab, where people come to us an average length of stay. So I'll give you 70% of all my admissions go home, which is statistically today above average. In 2000, probably 5% went home. And so the business has changed pretty dramatically in the 16 years we operated, as well as the quality of the product you house these people in. The physical plans have to change. We used to have 4-bed wards. Now we have all private rooms, semi-private rooms, suites, etc., because the population wants privacy and they want the ability to have mom or dad or my sister or brother in a place where they can have some privacy. They can have internet services, they can have their own televisions, they can get good quality food products and get home as quickly as possible. So the business has changed pretty dramatically over the last 16 years. And I think as a company being smaller, leaner, and more effective, we've been able to hopefully position ourselves for the next 10 years as we grow.